Okay, let's get ready.
Okay, Chelsea.
There's a door with a latch on the bottom. You have to push it out.
Good to know.
You should be there about now.
I can see it.
Freeze for a sec. So yeah, that's kind of how it's going to be. See how you look at camera? You can look at the camera as if, yeah. So that's how it's going to be. It's just very surreal. It's magical, right? It's a fairy tale. It's a story about this mixed up girl who ends up at this house where there's this mixed up boy. And the magic that brings them both back to life from their sadness is their friendship.
This is a really poetic script, and you don't get that a lot in indies necessarily. It's very touching. I mean, it's about grief, but it's also very funny. It's very surprising, and Dave Schultz has written a really, really poetic story.
Most of the movies I do tend to revolve around young people, usually, and there's usually a fantasy element. Actually, when I was doing my last picture, Rufus, the relationship that Rory and Merritt Patterson had in that movie, the friendship, the kind of like the younger boy and the older kind of teenage girl, which was real in that movie, off-screen real. I thought, well, that's a really neat dynamic. I wonder if I could use that in a film. So that's where the Tommy Faber and the Jesse Wilson came from.
Tommy?
Tommy.
There's a very pretty girl here to see you.
One prop that I found particularly interesting was the cardboard box for the spaceship scene. Just like, because it's an ordinary box, but to Tommy, it's a whole spaceship. It's a whole adventure.
My angle of re-entry is too steep. Attempting to correct. It's no good.
It's the only real time in the movie that we get to see Tommy's point of view, like what Tommy sees and what Tommy imagines.
And action, and look, find the bear. Hey, smile. I want to see some teeth.
Those films are very much focused on people's relationships and developing those relationships throughout his films. So I think it's interesting from an actor's point of view to play a film like that because it's all about responding with the other actors.
Remember that boy from junior high swim club?
I hate a swim club. Oh boy.
Behind you. Stop it.
But you know, we have a really cool young cast. I mean, I've always kind of worked with first-timers. Maddie Phillips, who plays Jesse Wilson. I think she's done some small independent stuff. I call this an independent movie, what they call what they do. I'm not even sure what that is. But this is her first, picture where there's honey wagons and a crew bigger than 12, I think. So she's a first-timer and she's doing great.
Looks like he means business. I think we should stand our ground.
Good plan.
Be nice.
My name's Stephen Gibson. I'm in your biology class.
Why does he like her?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
We were in swim club together. You weren't very popular. Are you popular now?
Maddie plays Jessie. She is very much Jessie. She plays it tough in the movie, but she is quite vulnerable. And I think that's who she kind of is in real life.
Looks like you've become pretty good friends.
Ooh, I don't know about that. She hangs around a lot and I don't really want to.
Pretty deep.
It's because our hotel rooms are right next to each other.
It's the honor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Forced to
say
hang out
hi
together.
in the morning on the way to work and it's a job.
I love this kid.
It's a commute.
No, I do, and he leaves tomorrow, and I'm really sad.
Rory is a good listener. It's interesting seeing Rory from Rufus because he's 4 years older now. So instead of being this kind of young teenage boy, he's now like a young man. So it always kind of shocks me when I look through the camera and I see Rory there all grown up. I think what's great about Rory playing Stephen Gibson is that Stephen's a listener and a calm influence. And Maddie is the one who thinks she can do it all herself, but she needs someone to listen. So Rory in real life is a great listener and a very more kind of quiet, stoic character, which plays great against her more kind of pushy and kind of, kind of more outgoing personality. So they were a good fit as well that way.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Come in.
Wow. This place is truly massive.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of that game, Clue. You know, Mrs. Peacock in the conservatory with the candlestick.
I think our most solid adults are, of course, Sheila McCarthy and Eric McCormick. They're the grown-ups in the movie.
Is there anything that you, Eric, would have in common with a man like Jasper?
Jasper Diamond and I are exactly the same height.
Where there's one mouse, there's 1,000.
Who said that?
Dickens. Possibly Hemingway. Is it alive?
I think it's smarter than we thought.
Ah, don't confuse determination with intelligence. I doubled our chances by placing a second trap. I do believe we'll find our little friend in this corner pocket. Eventually.
It's fun for me because I spent the last 3 years on a show called Perception, in which I played someone with schizophrenia. So I was, in every episode, hallucinating someone else. And this series of guest stars would come through, and we'd have to explain to them, you're only acting with Eric because nobody else can see you. And now it's flipped. Now I'm the hallucination. Oops, what a giveaway. But Jasper, so we're having to shoot scenes as we did on Perception, where I'm in the scene and then I'm not in the scene because I only really exist for Tommy.
The adult roles in this film are very, very strong. I mean, Uncle Jasper's a great role, and I think Veronica's a strong role as well.
Veronica is, I suppose the word might be the puppeteer of the story. And we keep our audience guessing as to what is real and what is not real. And I think Veronica is probably the only one in the movie that really knows the truth.
Can I help you, dear?
I think so. I was told there's a boy here who needed some help with science and math. I'm Jessie. The tutor? Jessie Wilson?
Yes, of course. Talk about the mansion a little bit.
It's old. I'm sitting in one of the rooms right now. It's very old. It was built in 1890. This woman, Milu, owns it, who just totally loves her house. But she let us take it over. We packed their bags and sent them off for 2 weeks to God knows where, and we've taken over the house. But we are treating it, Milu, if you're watching, we're keeping good care of your house. And it's fascinating. It's a character in the movie, right? I mean, I'm very comfortable in this house now, and I can see why she loves it so much. It's big. It's a big old house. You can actually drive a bike around this house like you'll see in the movie. It's that big. And all the doors connect. It's amazing.
Where are we now?
By the foyer.
Isn't that where we started?
Yeah, almost. But now we're on the west side by the grandfather clock. On the other side of that wall is the billiard room and the smaller Veronica's 2 games bureaus. The Blue Boy, 1770. It's a reproduction, of course, but still very valuable.
So it's just a quirky kind of, it's a friendship movie again. Most of mine are. We forget sometimes that the really biggest things in our lives are the people we know, and the people that care about us, and the people that we care about. And that's so easy to forget. And action.
You need your friends. You think you don't, but you do. You can't do it alone.
So that's what this movie's about. It's about that just basic core of friendship that allows us to move on and carry through our lives.